Good evening, people. How's everyone doing? We all good? Fantastic. Okay, so tomorrow night is the big one. It is the big one. TRON Legacy is released in the cinemas in IMAX 3D. I'm going to see it. You will see a review of that tomorrow night. But what I want to talk about tonight is where 3D has, how 3D movies have evolved, and what's the next stage kind of thing. I mean, here we have a movie, TRON Legacy. The first film came out back in 1982, and even for the time, the effects were still awesome. And I think even today they still look amazing. And it kind of got people thinking, what would happen if they were to do a sequel, if they were to release it in 3D, all that sort of stuff. Then obviously, this time last year, Avatar came out, and then bang, all of a sudden 3D cinema was the norm. It was the in thing. It's like almost every film that has come out so far has been in 3D or in some form of 3D. We know that there have been some films that were released that shouldn't have come out in 3D because they converted them later than they should have done. Clash of the Titans, The Last Airbender, the two main ones in that. Other films weren't in 3D but were in like IMAX format, Iron Man 2 being one of them. Then there was How to Train Your Dragon, which was obviously done for IMAX 3D as well. You've also got Alice in Wonderland, Shrek Forever After, Toy Story 3. So those sort of films would look really good on 3D. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, when did 3D movies actually start? When was the mainstream for 3D? When did it actually begin? And it wasn't until like the early 1950s, so we're going back 60 years now for when 3D actually first came about. And I remember when I was actually at school, I must have been about 12 or 13, I think that was when the sixth Freddy movie came out, which was supposed to be the last Freddy movie. It was number 6, I think it was called The Death of Freddy, I can't remember. And that was in 3D. And I remember a few of my friends actually going to see it and saying how, it was good for at the time. But obviously back then you had the old school 3D glasses with the red and blue, colours and everything. And I'll sit down and I'm thinking, right, here we have 2010. We're almost at the end of the year. What have we got for 2011 and beyond? And on IMDb, on Wikipedia, I'm looking through the list of films that have been released in 3D and what's due to come out in 3D later on. We're going back as far back as say 2003, and like that was Spy Kids 3D was like back in 2003. That was 3D. You had the Polar Express, which they had in IMAX 3D. That was in 2004. Then it moves further on. You've got things like the Ant Bully, Monster House, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Beowulf, as I mentioned, Alice in Wonderland, Journey to the Centre of the Earth, Bolt, Coraline, Monsters vs Aliens. There's been a lot of films in the past sort of 5 years, 7 years, going back to 2003, that have been in 3D, but none more so have been in a better 3D version than what Avatar has been, because that was actually shot with a camera designed for IMAX 3D, and we all know the history behind that thanks to James Cameron. But now we've got TRON. TRON Legacy is pretty much, someone asked me on Twitter, do I think that TRON Legacy is going to outdo what Avatar did? And I have to say, Avatar was 15 years in the making, but can we say that TRON Legacy was almost 30 years in the making? Because I think it was. There was a time where the original director of TRON, Steven Lisberger, wanted to bring out a sequel roughly about the mid-90s, early 90s I think it was, and Disney sort of dismissed it, said it's not going to work kind of thing, it's not that time sort of thing. So as time went on, he still tried to pitch it, it was still not happening, Disney couldn't see it. But then suddenly, here we are. The first thing that was noted was, it wasn't until obviously Comic-Con of 2008, a 3-minute teaser was shown, and it basically got everybody excited, everybody wetting their pants. And at the time we just thought it was just going to be a sequel to Tron. You know, it wasn't going to be in 3D or anything. That was just a test run. That 3-minute video that they showed at Comic-Con was just a test run. Then eventually news came out that basically they would only do the sequel if Jeff Bridges was going to be in it. Thank God the dude is in it. But no, I'm really pleased, to be honest, and it's amazing how cinema has evolved over the past, we could say century anyway, because since like the early 1900s, even before that, people have been going to see movies at the cinema, you know, and we're talking over 100 years now that movies have been produced and made, and people have seen them, people have paid their money to see them, and it's still, you know, I'm still wondering, what are we going to see in another 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years down the line, or even another 100 years down the line? What's it going to be like? Is it going to be a case of holographic cinema? Who knows? You know, that might be the future. But yeah, I'm super excited to see Tron Legacy tomorrow. I really cannot wait. As you know, I've seen the sneak peek that was like 23 minutes long, and that was also in IMAX 3D, and wow, already I've had a teaser of it, I've had a taster, I know what to expect now. So I'm guessing I'm going to come away from Tron Legacy the same way that I did with Avatar last year. If you haven't seen my Avatar review, I suggest you look for it. It's got over 10,000 views. I'm really absolutely impressed with that, which is amazing. So I thank everybody who's watched it so far. Check that review out, and then you'll know exactly how excited I'll probably be after I've seen Tron Legacy. So yeah, wow. Big up to Joseph Kosinski for doing this, Jeff Bridges for being in it, Garrett Hedlund as well. We've got Olivia Wilde who's going to be in it, Michael Sheen. Yeah, I am really stoked and looking forward to it. So this time tomorrow I will be in the cinema. Literally, it'll be 50 minutes into the film. I will be enjoying it. I cannot wait. So yeah, brilliant. I can't wait. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll see you all later. Good night.